Welcome to Mindful Pilates. Let's come to standing and let's just shake it out a little bit before we come to the floor. I want us to kind of start with core, but I'd like us to have shaken it out a little. So I know some of you have been working in the yard. Some of you took a hard yoga class yesterday. And now we're going to shake out the body a little and remind it, okay, if there's tension in your shoulders, maybe lean forward, let the arms dangle out to the side and back. If there's tension stuck, you don't have to be stuck. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Kick it, kick it, kick it, kick it, kick it. All right. Let yourself wiggle and move. And just feel into what's wiggling and what isn't. And we'll have part of the goal be to let go of the things that aren't wiggling. So there's a little more freedom in the body. All right, and then just pause. Stand in your mountain pose, heels beneath your sit bones. And just feel into your posture at the beginning of class. Know your habits. So I'm thinking through some of you that are in the room. You tend to throw your knees back. Find your femur bone right over your tibia. If you tend to roll out on your feet, plug in your big toe ball mound and inner heel, and vice versa. Gently lift through the pelvic floor. Feel into your buttocks and notice, do I tend to tuck my pelvis or throw it back? Try to find neutral, grounding evenly into both feet, and feel up the spine. Find your shoulder blades on the back of your rib cage, not squeezing together, just wide on the back. Let the hyoid bone rest in and up. And now feel up your spine to the head. And notice, is the head a little forward of the spine? Most of us carry it a little forward of the spine. If so, draw the hyoid bone, that little horseshoe-shaped floating bone, in and up so that the prongs at the back of the horseshoe are pointing up towards the base of the skull, and the base of the skull is lifting gently. Root your third leg of the stool, the tailbone, and let your head rest back over the spine. Let it rest back even more than normal so that you come into just a slight back bend with the heart lifting. Feel how that takes core strength. Keep your ribs hugging for your hip pointers. And come back up to your neutral. Now soften enough that you can sway gently side to side. And let the head sway on the neck. And invite relaxation down the arms. And sway back to center. And sway forward to back. Forward to back. And just notice where your back tends to grip as you sway forward to back. And this can be a little bit more from the pelvis than the whole body on the feet. And feel into, where does my back grip so I don't fall forward? Where does my front body grip so I don't fall back? And then come back to your neutral. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. Breathe down into the low abdomen. You can even put your hands on your low abdomen and breathe into the low abdomen. Soften the abdomen on the exhale. And invite the breath deep into the belly, which invites your diaphragm to become active. I was working with a friend of mine yesterday who's done a lot of cadaver work in his understanding of anatomy. And he showed me this drawing. Well, he showed me this kind of picture of psoas muscle linked all the way up fascially through the diaphragm. And then there was a drawing next to it of a cobra with its hood open. So think of a cobra lifted up on its snake body with its cobra hood open, and that hood is your diaphragm. So as you exhale, think of the hood of the cobra opening up and helping you lift the air, expelling it out of the lungs. And then when you inhale, the cobra recedes down. The cool thing about the diaphragm is that it is connected fascially all the way through the psoas to the pelvic floor. As you inhale, let the diaphragm balloon down into the abdomen. And as you exhale, visualize that cobra lifting up and opening its hood underneath your lungs, helping you to expel the air. Now bring your hands to your side waists and breathe into your side waists. Invite the breath to fill your side bodies. Feel for your low side ribs expanding. And then bring your hands around to the low back. Breathe into the low back body. And invite the back of the diaphragm to balloon down into the low back, to stretch the low back ribs back behind you. You may need to massage it. This area may be a little stiff. Invite the low back to open with the breath. Invite the back ribs to open. And now invite the breath to roll up the back body. Release your arms and feel for the wave of breath up the back ribs. All the way to the top of the shoulder girdle. Feel for the breath moving the body. Relax on the exhale. Still have the third leg of your stool planted behind you. Still invite the breath into your side bodies. Invite the breath into your front abdomen and chest. Let the breath roll up the front body. Now invite the whole torso to gently expand. We're building our concentration in the practice. Remember that the first 4 principles we've been practicing are awareness, balance, so we want balanced breathing that opens us 3-dimensionally. Breathing correctly. I don't love that word, but breathing 3-dimensionally, let's say. Not taking such a big inhale that we strain. Relaxing on the exhale. And then the 4th principle is concentration. We concentrate and feel in, discovering more awareness. But we don't concentrate so hard that we over-effort and stiffen. Concentrate on relaxed ease of breath here. On relaxing on the exhales. And today, don't let the concentration just rest in the effort. Okay, let's come to lying down on the floor and let's begin again today with traditional Pilates mat. Use a pillow under your head if you need one. If you know you don't need one, that's fine. If you've never experienced a pillow, maybe try one sometime. Just have the pillow beneath the head. I really resisted using a pillow in the beginning of Pilates. My teacher kept wanting me to use a pillow because I have a long neck and I had more tightness in the back of my neck than the front. And just using the pillow helps you release some of that tightness. So if your chin is jutting at all above your hairline, the pillow coming in can help you while you're on your back. Just lengthen those suboccipital muscles so that your head can come into better postural alignment. If you don't need it, you don't need it. Broaden your shoulder girdle. Relax your arms long, palms up. And really let the head, shoulders, and arms relax heavy. Stay with your three-dimensional breath. Feel the whole circle of the lowest ribs expand on the inhale and relax on the exhale. The shoulder girdle doesn't need to tense or respond. It's relaxing while you breathe. And the belly can rise, the low back can expand. Side waist can expand. Spaces between the ribs can expand. And relax. Now, as you maintain this three-dimensional breath, come into your somatic walking, pressing into one foot as you lift that same side hip, and then pressing into the other, and gently rocking the pelvis side to side. Shoulder girdle relaxed, broad, jaw relaxed, eyes relaxed. We learn to move with awareness. Maybe it takes 3 or 4 rocks for an inhale. Maybe it takes even more rocks for an exhale. Honor the breath. Learn about it by the number of rocks each take. Don't try to force them to be even. Oftentimes the exhale's longer than the inhale, and that's natural. Come to neutral with your pelvis and nod the tailbone towards the floor and the tailbone towards the sky. As the tailbone goes towards the floor, over accentuate your lumbar curve. Towards the sky, flatten the lumbar curve. Feel how the pelvis rocking rocks the shoulders, the neck, and the head. It's all connected. Develop your awareness of how the moving parts affect each other. And then come to your neutral lumbar curve and feel in comparison the neutral lumbar curve to the neutral cervical curve of the spine. You want to maintain those curves in the work we're about to do. Exhale, float one leg to tabletop and inhale. Land the foot back down light as a feather. Exhale, float the next foot up and inhale, land it light as a feather. Stay broad across your shoulder girdle and relaxed in your hands and arms. Exhaling up and inhaling down. Can you work mainly from the low ribs down to the inner thigh? Aware of the outer buttocks creating a container for the movement. Aware of the front abdominals and the hip flexors waking up. Broad and open across the shoulder girdle. Make the intention to keep the shoulders open and grounded, and the neck in its natural cervical curve, your gaze perpendicular to the floor. Exhale, float one leg to tabletop. Take an inhale, and exhale, float the other leg up. If this flattens your lumbar too much, come back down and put in a folded blanket under your sacrum. Inhale, toe dip, and exhale back up. Your knee stays at a right angle as you inhale and exhale. Shoulders broad and relaxed. Natural lumbar curve, natural cervical curve. Broad shoulders and pelvis help us keep these curves. And we begin working the hips with awareness of the open shoulders. Now come back up, heels together, open your knees as wide as your shoulders, and toe dip the feet at this angle. Inhaling down and exhaling up. The heels touch each time, so we find midline. Inhaling down, exhaling up, shoulders still grounding broad. We don't flare the front ribs even as we work. Longer, keeping the front low ribs connected to the hip pointers. Draw the knees back in and hug the midline, and open the right leg out to the right, left leg stay still, and exhale to midline. Inhale, left leg out, exhale in. As you take the right leg out, feel the right shoulder activate. As you take the left leg out, feel the left shoulder ground. And as the right leg goes out, right shoulder activates, also ground the left pelvis. And as the left leg goes out, ground the right pelvis, connect it to the left shoulder blade. Feel the diagonal balancing you for the movement of the leg. Come back into center and hug the knees towards your chest. Circle them wide and back together again. Good morning, hips. Releasing the femur bone into the hip socket. We circle and take the circles the other way. And let's say good morning to the sacrum as well, holding the knees together. Circle and feel the perimeter of your sacrum. Notice if one set of SI joints is tighter or more prominent as you circle. If so, you could have a little torque in your pelvis. Take the circle the other way. Going out walking can help us to release torque in the pelvis because gravity helps seat the sacrum in between the ilium bones. Come back to neutral, hug your right leg in, lengthen the left leg out at your 45-degree angle. Left hand on knee, right hand towards ankle. And we switch and switch. Now nod your nose towards your mouth and almost lift from your hairline. Start at just 10%, even those of you who are going to lift your head. Keep lifting from the hairline at 20, at 30. You can stop anywhere along the way. Some of you will lift to 50. Notice how that may bring your chin a little closer to your sternum, really activating your front neck flexors. Lift from the hairline if you lift your head. Reach the toes long. Keep the banks of your river in mind. Fluid motion. Still breathing. Deep, three-dimensional breaths. They may not go into the abdomen as it works. They can go into the back body and sideways. And hug both knees in. Reach hands and feet for the sky. Take wrists away from your ankles. Hug in the banks of your river. Circle and hug. Reach. Circle and hug. Reach. Circle and hug. Stay aware of your lumbar and cervical spine curves. Reach. Circle and hug. Zip the inner thighs together. Reach. Circle and hug. One more. Reach. Circle and hug. Right leg overhead, left leg long. Reach up the right leg and pulse the legs just 2 inches. Pulse, pulse, and switch. Pulse, pulse, and switch. Lift from the hairline. Let the hyoid integrate into the neck crease. Pulse, 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 pulse. You can flex the feet. Pulse, 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 pulse. Float the feet. Pulse, 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 pulse. Point the feet. Pulse, 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 pulse. Flex and float. And do whatever you'd like with your feet. Feel into what feels good for you. Maybe don't do the easiest for you. Maybe don't do the hardest for you. Know your tendencies. Nose nods a little towards mouth, almost lift from the hairline. Feel those front neck flexors and bring the legs together. Rest your arms to your side, bend your knees, and toe dip one foot towards the floor. Exhale it up. Inhale, second side, and exhale up. Broad across the shoulder girdle, grounded in the pelvis. We still have our neutral lumbar curve. Come back up and bring your hands against your femur bones and press the palms into the femurs as you pull the femurs towards your chest. Press and pull. Maintain your lumbar curve. Press and pull. Let's start at 10% of effort, so back down. Then go to 20 and 30. Broad across your shoulders, relaxed in your neck. 40. Maintain 40 for a few breaths. And notice how sustained work can mean we don't want to work quite so hard. Maybe you go to 50, but we're going to sustain it longer. So whatever you do, make it sustainable. Broad across the shoulders. We don't want to clinch up in the neck in order to push the hands harder into the femurs. We're keeping the spine long, the neck open, the shoulders broad, and we're still pushing hands into femurs, drawing the femurs towards the chest and strengthening the core. And release and hug the knees in and circle them wide and back together again. Release the abdominal work and breathe. Take your circles the other way. And float your legs up to tabletop. One hand behind the other, behind the head. Exhale, reach the elbows skyward, lengthen the leg, rest the head back, lengthen the spine, and switch and hold. Find the length, reach the elbow skyward, and switch and switch and switch. Feel the left ribs reach for the right hip pointers. The right ribs reach for the right hip pointers. The shoulder blade lift the rib cage off the floor. The leg lengthening out like it's going to press a button across the room. Fluid breath as we wake up our obliques. Good morning, obliques. Good morning. And come back to center and release the head and straighten the legs and exhale. Float the heels any distance towards the floor. Some may not move far. Some may still have a bend in the knee. Exhale and inhale. And exhale and inhale. And as the legs come down, we keep the front ribs from flaring. One more. And bend the knees up and float one foot to the floor and then the other. And nod your tailbone towards the earth and your tailbone towards the sky and feel into the change in the curve of your lumbar spine. Stay with your fluid breath. And roll over to your side. And draw your legs into a clamshell position. And bring your blanket, if you have it, over your arm for a pillow. You can have your arm stretched long overhead, or you can fold your blanket more and have your arm perpendicular or hand under your head. Now we're in the side lying position. I don't often do this in this Wednesday class. You can come to standing to do this work, but let's begin with clamshells. Lift the feet up and open the legs and close. And inhale and exhale. And open and close and open and close and open and pulse open. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and close. And straighten the legs. We won't do too much here, Anne, but we're going to do a little bit. So your back should be long against the back of your mat, and your legs should be out at a 45-degree angle. They should not be straight down the mat. We don't want to strain the spine. So bring the legs out, right? This would be 90 perpendicular. So I want you halfway between that and straight down the mat. Hand again right in front of the core and float the leg up and down, up and down. Inhale and exhale, inhale and exhale. One more. Point the toe and circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now keep the bottom leg where it is. Reach the top leg down the mat and circle. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. Move your pillow, fold your mat in, and come up for side planks. Rainbow the body up. Remember, you could do your side planks against the wall if you need to. Lift the underside up under the upper side and release. You can stay with the rainbows, really feeling for that lift of the underside, or you can lift right in this position up into a side plank. Or you can straighten the bottom leg, step the top foot perpendicular, lift into a side plank, or stack your feet. Whatever's best for your body. Gently hug in the glutes and lengthen the spine all the way through the crown chakra. So I don't want to see this like with the head hanging. Keep long, broad across your shoulder girdle, long through the neck. And exhale, release. And let's take the other side. Side lying first. Lie your back against the back edge of the mat so that you have awareness of your body in space. Bring your legs into your clamshell and find the perfect pillow for you. Lift your feet and open your clamshells and close and open and close, open, close, open and close. I did this in my morning yoga class today to help people wake up their core all the way around, including their powerhouse buttocks, so that they'd be able to use them in their yoga poses. Now open and pulse. 2, 3, 4, 5, and close. Keep your femurs at this angle and straighten the legs. And float the top leg and lower. And lift and lower. Lift and lower. Inhale and exhale. One more. And then point your toe and circle. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Take the top leg down the mat. Stay long in the back of the spine and circle. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And roll back. Oh, well, let's do side planks first. Come up onto your arm, bending your legs back into your clamshell, and rainbow the arm up overhead. My right shoulder was trying to get me to forget we were going to do side planks. And rainbow up, and if you'd like, lift your hips and come back down. And you can stay with the rainbows or lift into the side plank of choice. I'm going to stick with this one today because I'm still nursing my right shoulder from the ski accident. Stretch across your shoulder girdle. Nursing a joint can take a little time. Fluid, three-dimensional breath into the torso. And release. Roll onto your back and reach for your ball. On your back, lift up into a bridge and place your ball blocker oov underneath your sacrum. Take a deep three-dimensional breath and exhale. Put your thumbs on your ribs and your fingers on your hip pointers. Stay aware of your square as you exhale one leg to tabletop and the other to join it. And lift the legs up towards the sky. Come into your Pilates V with your feet. And tick-tock. So we're going to keep the left leg still and take the right leg open and click the heel together and open and close, open and close, open and close, and open and close. Left leg open and close, open and close, open, close, open and close. Both legs open and close, open and close. Really just tap the heels lightly, open and close. Left leg open and close, open and close, open and close, open and close. Right leg open and close, open and close, open and close, open and close. Now open both legs. Take the feet down the mat, heels together, and back up the center. Find a rhythm with your breath. Still invite the breath deep into the body. And even as these muscles are working, the breath can gently press out against them. And you may feel the three-dimensional work of that breath. Come up the midline and go back down and open and up. Fluid breath as you circle with the legs, keeping that neck long. Relaxing the jaw, the eyes, and the face. Bring the right leg overhead. Pulse, pulse, and switch. Pulse, pulse, and switch. Pulse, 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 pulse. Bring the legs together and bend the knees. Open the knees as wide as your shoulders and toe dip. Exhale up and inhale down. Switching side to side, lightly touching the heels at the midline, keeping your front ribs in healthy relationship with your hip pointers. Tuning in to your three-dimensional breath. Come up heel to heel and draw the knees together. Hug the midline, hugging your glutes in to create the container. Relax your arms, palms up. Your arms can be kind of out at a diagonal from your sides. And open the right leg out to the right. Feel the right shoulder and arm activate. Connect the right shoulder to the left hip. Cross that line, make it strong, and feel into your triangle. The hypotenuse runs from shoulder to hip. Draw the knee back in, open the same side, and draw it in. Feel the triangle of the torso from right shoulder to right hip, to left hip to right shoulder. And come back to center and open the left leg out and hold. Feel the left shoulder activate. Connect it down to the right hip. Connect the right hip to the left buttock, to the left shoulder, and exhale, close. And inhale, open. Feel this triangle and let it help you stabilize. Opening and closing. You can also feel the opposite triangle from right hip to right shoulder to left shoulder, down the hypotenuse of the center. Let that top triangle help you stabilize the bottom triangle. And come back to center. And toe dip, right toes towards the floor, and exhale up. And inhale, right, and exhale up. And see, can you relax your face, your neck, your jaw, and your shoulders broad. And come back up. Right leg opens overhead, left leg long. Flex and point and flex and point and flex and floint and go right into your bicycle. Reaching out with your big toe and pinky toe ball mounds. Stretching the leg out as you circle. Flointing the feet, your toes get to stretch open and bicycle backwards. And go slow enough that you can feel into what's happening in your pelvis and that you can use your grounding shoulders and arms to balance across the top of the torso, connecting those shoulders to the hips. And come back up with the legs and bend the knees and float one foot to the floor and then the other. Lengthen one leg out over your prop if you like, and take the arms overhead in a stretch. Some of you will switch side to side here, lengthening one leg and then the other. Some of you can lengthen both legs at the same time. Stretch through the body into each limb. Breathe deep down to massage the psoas with the moving waves of breath. Fluid breath. And exhale your arms back down to your sides, palms facing each other over the torso, and step your feet back in. Lift your right foot towards the sky. If that's hard, you can keep the knee bent a little or the knee bent even to a 90-degree. And we're going to lift, pressing into the left foot and arms. Lift the right foot skyward slightly, maybe not all the way off our prop, and then relax back onto the prop. And pulse up and release, down, pulse and release, pulse and release, pulse and release. Make sure you're engaging across the shoulder girdle and back in the shoulders. This work is very important for our posture. Your neck is long, gaze perpendicular to the sky. Lift partially up off your prop, flex the foot and lower the foot long and point and lift. Flex and lower, point and lift. Flex and lower, point and lift. One more. And then bend this leg and put this foot on the floor. Align your heels with your sit bones. And then float the next leg skyward. And as you're ready, broaden across the shoulder girdle. Press down in the whole length of the arm and the four corners of the foot and lift and lower and lift and lower. The banks of your river can help you keep the pelvis centered here. Stay with your breath. Concentrate on what muscles are doing this work for you, and can you invite any others on board? Now lift, gently flex the foot and lower the heel, and lift and lower and lift and lower. If it's hard with a straight leg, you can come back to one-sided toe dips with the other foot still working, the four corners of the standing foot engaged. And release the sacrum onto the floor, release the foot to the floor. Pause in your bridge with your hands on your belly. Invite your concentration back to a three-dimensional, relaxed breath. And then lift up off your prop and lower your buttocks and roll over onto hands and knees. And inhale your cow. And exhale your cat. And pause in your cat. Deep breath into the back body. Now sway your hips side to side and stretch the side bodies. So your shoulders may sway towards the same side hip, creating a little bit of a C in the spine. And come back to neutral. And if it's accessible to you, open your knees, big toes together, roll back towards your child's pose. Now, if coming low is challenging for you, then bring two blocks in for underneath your hands, and you can bring a blanket roll in behind your legs if you need that support, and roll back here. The arms are stretched forward and you're reaching the pelvis back to lengthen the spine. But this lift can help you keep the armpits buoyant so you can stretch through the shoulders. Fluid breath. If you'd like, you can rock the pelvis a little side to side to stretch the myofascia up the torso from the hips through the shoulders. Fluid breath. And then come back up. Everybody walk blocks in underneath your hands. And inhale your cow. The blocks will give you a little bit more lift to the heart. Broad across the shoulder girdle, long in the neck. Take a few breaths in the cow pose, stretching the fascia open. And then exhale, lift from beneath with your core. Lift the spine, lift the pelvis. Come into your cat curl. Bring your hands to the edge of the block closest to your body and press the hands away onto the block as you press back with the knees and feet and open the spine. Breathe into the opening spine and let the head dangle out of the shoulder girdle. And then come back up to your neutral. Keep your left hand on the block and open your right arm like a wing. Keeping the right arm open like a wing, ground into your right leg and see if you can open the left leg like a wing. And pause, feeling for your myofascial slings, shoulder to hip. And release the hand back down towards the block, the shin towards the floor, and open again. And pause and lengthen the spine. And bring hand and leg back down and open again. Long spine, strong core. Strong myofascial slings. Come back to center. And notice if you like it higher on the blocks to become aware of the wing on the back and just be at a different angle with the core. Release the left hand from the block and float the left shoulder blade onto your back. Remember, your wrist is lower than your shoulder. Feel into that work of shoulder blade on the back body. Most of us need that work. See if you can float the right leg out to the right. Connect left shoulder to right hip. And exhale, lower hand and leg and lift back up. And lower and lift and lower and lift and hold. Feel from shoulder to buttock and release. Hand back to the block. Inhale a cow and hold. Reach the tailbone away from the lifting heart, the lifting base of the skull. Fluid, three-dimensional breath to stretch your tissue. And then exhale, curl into your hissing cat. You may want to walk your hands to the front edge of the block so you can push against it as you lift into the cat curl and release your head. Lift from underneath the spine. Use that front abdominal core. And if you'd like to, sit your sit bones back towards your heels to find more of a stretch and walk your fingers over the front of the block, then do so. Let the breath stretch the tissue open. And come back up to neutral. Now lean gently across the diagonal from your left hip towards your right shoulder, and then come across to your left shoulder. Take the left hip back, take the right hip back, and come into a circular motion with the body. And feel the support of your shoulders, the pelvis connection with the legs. If this hurts your knees, you can do it standing with your hands on a chair seat. Come back to neutral and move to the right in your circle. Right shoulder, right hip, left shoulder, right hip, left shoulder. And just feel with awareness and concentration into what's stretching and what's working. And then step your hands off the blocks out of your way, and step one foot back behind you. Wrists under shoulders. Press down into foot and hands. Press hands away from feet as you float the other shin off the floor. You can stay here with the shin just hovering, or step back into your plank and rock across your toes. Anybody who this is too much for can come down to knees and just practice your half plank, or come into a plank with your hands against the wall, stepping your body out and putting some pressure onto your arms to build bone density. Step both knees down. Step the opposite foot back, press down into the foot and hands, and float the other leg off. We have a tendency to want to look up at the horizon. Try to resist that. Keep the back of your neck long and imagine you're snorkeling. Look down into the ocean. Perhaps step back into your plank and rock your feet, opening the toes. And lower the knees one more time. Widen the knees and reach forward with the arms. Child's pose opens both the hips and the shoulders. If it's too much for you, come into a downward dog with your hands on the chair seat or your hands on the wall in half dog. Fluid breath into your side bodies. Take your arms around to the right and breathe into the left side body, left armpit, left shoulder. Fluid breath. On the exhales, see if you can come towards earth a little bit with the sit bone and the armpit. On the inhales, stretch long across the side body. Remember, if you have osteoporosis or pinya, you don't side bend quite as far, but you can still find the stretch through the fascia. And we stay here for a while with the breath opening the body, and walk the hands across to the other side, lengthening the right side body, resting the right sit bone and the right armpit on the exhales. We breathe into the stretch. You could also come into a tabletop and create a C curve with the spine there to breathe into opening side body myofascia from shoulder to hip. And then exhale back to center. Reach for your blocks one more time and place them behind your body, just behind the hips, and wrap your fingers around the front of the blocks. Now, if this hurts anybody's shoulders, don't do it, okay? But we are going to lift into a reverse tabletop here, pressing down into the hands. We almost lift, and you may not actually lift the hips off. It's okay. If you don't, you press down into the arms, you're activating your triceps, broad across the shoulder girdle, pressing down, lift the pelvis. Come back to your three-dimensional breath. Creating bone density in the arms, strengthening the back of the arms, lengthening the front body, lifting with the glutes and the hamstrings and the back. Fluid breath. And you can exhale back down and release the arms and roll the shoulders. And we'll try one more time. If it's too much to be on high blocks, play with a lower block. You may have more length in your arms that way. Fingers still off the front edge of the block. We press down into the block and lift the pelvis. Fluid breath. So play around with the heights for yourself. Now root into the arms from your broad shoulder girdle. Feel into your broad pelvis. And those of you who want to go farther, lift to one toe. Lift the foot off the floor and release. Lift to the other toe. Lift the foot off the floor and release. One more time. Toe, foot, release. Toe, foot, release. Lower the pelvis and roll on over towards your blocks. Place your blocks on low, put your hands on your blocks, and roll back into your downward dog. And walk the dog. Come back to your three-dimensional breath. Feel into what muscles are working. And if there are any that are overworking, can you invite others on board to help? And walk your feet towards your hands. And heels aligned with sit bones, second metatarsals parallel, bend your knees. Inhale your hands to your heart, Utkatasana. Pause here. From your pelvis grounding into the legs, lengthen your spine. Feel into the whole circumference of your spine. Lengthen it right up into the skull. Keeping that neutral spine, let your arms swing. Let go of the hands and wrists and elbows and shoulders. Release the shoulders. And inhale, stretch for the sky, rooting the heels. Lift the heart, root the tailbone. Lengthen the whole circumference of the spine from your pelvis through the top of your head. And exhale, hands to the heart. Relax into your Tadasana. Come back to your three-dimensional breath. Relax the outer body over that strong channel of the spine. And bring your left arm across the body. Hold it with the forearm with the right arm, and stretch the arm to the right as you resist with the shoulder back. Let the arm press in toward your chest a little bit and release the shoulder girdle away from the skull. Lengthen the neck. Now take the right ear gently to the right. Come back up. Left ear gently to the left. Come back up. Turn to look out over your left shoulder. Pause here with the breath. Come back to center and release. And roll your shoulders. And then pause and feel your shoulder girdle side to side. Concentrated awareness. Take the right arm across. Pull the right arm to the left as you resist right with the shoulder. Hug the arm in towards the chest. Take it a little away from the chest. Hug it back in. Find the stretch that's right for you. Release the shoulder girdle away from the lifting head. Root into the four corners of the feet. Tailbone grounded. So your core is a strong stability under the stretch. Invite the left ear towards the left shoulder. Stretch through the right neck. Lift up right ear towards right shoulder. Release the left shoulder away. Come back up. Look out over the right shoulder and take a few fluid breaths. And release and roll the shoulders. And pause again in Tadasana. Feel the body side to side. And lift into your cactus position, turning the legs slightly out Bend the knees out over the second metatarsals. Breathe length up from the pelvic floor and either slightly or more fully side bend to the left. Exhale, bring the arms towards each other. And inhale back open. And exhale upright. Take an inhale, long spine. Exhale, side bend slightly to the right. Now really maintain the grounding into both feet, the lengthening of both sides of the spine as you bring the arms forward towards each other. And open them back up. And exhale back to standing. Turn your palms out. See if the elbows can reach back slightly without the humerus bone popping too far forward. So broad across the shoulders. Lift the heart in a slight back bend and breathe the chest broad. On your exhale, imagine that cobra rising up to lift the diaphragm. Inhale. The diaphragm mushrooms down into the abdomen or balloons. And then exhale. Cobra's hood lifts underneath the lungs. Inhale, fill the belly. Exhale, lift the cobra. And release the arms back to neutral and let them go and step back in and roll the shoulders. Pause. Remember, our head is resting back, eyes back in their sockets, head over the spine. Lift to your left toe. Find your balance on the four corners of the right foot and circle the left knee out and out and out and out and land. Ground into the left foot, lengthen the spine, shoulder blades on the back, lift and circle the right leg. Open and open and open and again and release. Pause with your concentration, exploring your buttocks and your hips. From the pelvis, lengthen down, awareness at the knees and into the three arches of the feet. From the pelvis, lengthen up the spine and broaden across the shoulder girdle. Shoulder blades on the back. Maybe you lean back a little and the third leg of the stool releases down and the base of the skull rests back. Take a deep three-dimensional breath. Let the breath roll up the back body. Relax the outer body over the inner channel. On your inhale, let the breath roll up the side bodies. On the exhale, let the cobra lift. On the inhale, let the breath roll up the front body. On the exhale, let the hooded cobra lift under the diaphragm. Reach your arms skyward. Take an inhale, feel the three dimensions of your abdomen and rib cage. Exhale, relax. Inhale, feel the whole circumference of the torso. Exhale, feel for the hood of the cobra lifting under the diaphragm, expelling air from the lungs. Inhale, relax and open. Exhale, the cobra lengthens from the pelvic floor up to lift the diaphragm under the lungs. And release your arms. And let's inhale. Arms float skyward. And let's draw into our own awareness so we can find balance and harmony in the body. Let's inhale in to conscious breath so we can find awareness and harmony in the body. Let's inhale in to our ability to concentrate both on our effort and on our release of effort. balanced effort. Thank you for coming to class. Okay.